Hi, I'm Tara Swiger. I'm the marketing coordinator here at SewTites, and I am here with Aaronica B. Cole of Needle and the Belle. She is a garment sewist and a pattern designer. She makes the most amazing Instagram reels, which is how I found her one on Projector Sewing. So thank you so much for joining me, Aaronica.
Thank you so much for having me here, Tara. I'm so excited.
Oh, thanks. So can you tell us a little bit about you and where you're sewing at?
I am currently currently I'm in my office, which is actually a mess because I had my projector fired up and I just finished cutting out two patterns. I was like, oh, I should make something special for Mother's Day, but we'll see what happens. But I live in the Metro Atlanta area, and I predominantly sew from home. This is like my space. I didn't clean up because I was like, I'm gonna be talking to creatives, my people, and y'all get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, and it's totally a normal looking sewing space to me.
Yes.
So how did you get started sewing and especially garment sewing? Did you start with garments right off the bat? Did you like end up there?
Yeah. So you know what's so funny is that I always get asked how I started sewing, but no one ever asks how I got started with garment sewing. So I think that that's a really interesting question, or even a better question, right? Because I actually started hand sewing when I was about 6 or 7, and I was making stuffies, like how you would cut out the back of like the stuffing, like literally the filler. And that is what I started. Now I'm dating myself here, but at the time, Raggedy Ann and Andy were on the back of these stuffing little things. And that is what I started out sewing. And then when I was 13, my mom was like, girl, you are just like deconstructing everything in my house. Let's put you into some sewing classes. And so I took a sewing class, and I thought it was just ridiculous because we made a drawstring backpack. And at the time, I was like, I don't like drawstring backpacks. But when I got into garment sewing, I was in my 20s. So again, I still had never learned how to read a pattern. And so I was just over here freestyling it, we're winging it, eyeliner, life, sewing. And I was just trying to figure things out, literally. So I started by upcycling clothes. So I was a single mom at the time, and my daughter, she just grows straight up. She's not very like thick or anything like that. So I would just take her pants and turn them into skirts, or add like something so that they were longer, or cut them so they were like shorter and it looked like it was the style versus like she was wearing high waters, right? Um, and then I actually started sewing PDF patterns because again, I still couldn't read I could not read the traditional patterns. So like literally, so of course, and I'm gonna hold up like one of my patterns, like literally I could not read the instructions inside of here. All of this was like Greek to me. And I was like, I'm never gonna be able to create garments, especially because we know in garment sewing, there are so many different caveats, like when it comes to seam allowances, when it comes to fabrics, when it comes to all of those things. And I'd never learned anything about it. So in my 20s, I really got into PDF sewing after I had my second child. Actually, like my 20s is where I really started. My 30s is really where I got into it. And I committed to sewing and learning for an hour per day because at this time I had two kids now, and I was homeschooling my kids, and I was just like, I want to learn. So yeah.
I love that. That is it's so amazing that you taught yourself. I also one of my first sewing classes was actually in high school. It was like a thing you could take, and we did a
Yeah.
drawstring bag, and it was the most hideous butterfly fabric.
Yeah.
Mom sewed it forever, and I was like, who needs this? Is so useless. Like what
Right.
is this?
Exactly.
Yeah. I have only sewn a very few garments, and one of them was a Star Wars cloak for my little
Yeah.
brothers. So it was
Mhm.
like just big pieces of fabric that hung down, and I
Yeah.
followed a pattern for that. But it is every time I think about doing something like what you do, I'm like, I don't know how to treat that fabric. I don't know how to do the seam allowances. Like
Yeah.
it seems tricky to learn. So I am very impressed that you, especially started by like sounds like kind of altering your daughter's clothes.
Yep. Yeah.
That is
Absolutely.
very cool. So I found you from your reel with I want to say it was a red dress and you were doing projector sewing.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Can
was at the beginning of last year.
can you tell us about your projector sewing?
Yeah. So I'm on my third projector, and this is her right here.
Yeah.
And right now I'm using an Epson Brightlink. 585i. And so this is an ultra short throw projector, but I actually started projector sewing like 3, 4 years ago with the mini projector. And at the time, I thought it was cool, right? Because I'm a techie. I loved it. But I make so many adjustments to my patterns in order to make them fit my body that I was like, this is probably not going to be for me. And then one day, my husband, it was over the weekend, and I was in a pattern test. So I was testing something for myself, but I was also testing it for each of my girls. And so I had printed off probably about a good 5 to 6 patterns because I was in a couple of them. And I put them together, I taped them together, and I had done it in like record time. And so my husband was watching me the whole time. And then I cut them out and I finished. And I was like, okay, now we got to cut out the fabric. And he was like, wait a minute, hold on one second. You do this every single time? I said, yeah. Didn't I do a great job? Like, I was like, this was super fast. He was like, order the projector. We'll figure everything else out after. Just order the projector because this can't be life. And from there, I essentially just kind of taught myself how to make adjustments, how to do the adjustments for my body, because I grade between a bunch of sizes. I also do full booty adjustments. If I'm sewing for like other people, I might do full bust adjustments, that sort of thing. So I had to teach myself how to do these adjustments. And now, of course, I teach others about projector sewing, how to do the adjustments and things like that. And like I said, I was cutting out patterns beforehand. I cut out 2 patterns, not basic patterns either. I cut out the closet core Pietra pants. And I did the view A, the wide leg view, because I feel like I'm going to wear it this weekend. And then I also cut out the Kaye shirt, and I cut both of those patterns out in like under 30 minutes. So for me, it's a huge time saver, as well as it helps me to save on paper, because I literally had like cases of paper as well as ink for for my printer just on auto ship from Amazon, because I was like, well, I need it, you know? So knowing that I now could cut back, like I think that the last time I ordered paper was probably 3 or 4 years ago. The last time I ordered ink for like my printer, same time. And so it's helped me to save not just time as well as money, but also the environmental impact is big for me.
Yeah, that is amazing. And that is that's like, I mean, my printer, I would be fighting with it every day. That's part of what keeps me from sewing garments. So I'm gonna back up and ask what is like really simple questions.
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing other people might not be familiar with it too. At least I'm not, and I want to know more. So
Yeah.
when you say make adjustments, you're making these you're opening it up in your computer. Yeah.
So it depends on the adjustment, right? So
Okay.
I do a combination of either official adjustments where I will alter the pattern piece on the actual screen. So
Mhm.
now it's permanently adjusted. Or I do like what I like to call a quick and dirty adjustment, where
Mhm.
if I know that I'm making a pair of pants and I'm going to have to essentially do a modified full booty adjustment, then I
Mhm.
can just simply do it on the actual projector, like with by manipulating the fabric. One of the beautiful things about, of course, using your projector is that it allows you to manipulate the fabric in a little different way. And so, because of that, I'm able to do some of those quick and dirty, less precise adjustments. Which for some pattern makers works, while for others it doesn't. Like if there is a dart in the back of the pant, right? I'm not going to do a quick and dirty. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I'm
Yeah.
going to make sure that I open up that dart, that I'm going to actually do the adjustment. And I typically will do it in Adobe Illustrator, although I teach how to do it in Inkscape.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So you're teaching people who want to use this how to make the adjustments. So they're not just buying a pattern and making the pattern, but making it fit their body and like
Right.
figure out how to make those adjustments, which is
Yes.
great.
Now, I don't necessarily teach how to do adjustments, right? And I
Mhm.
think that that's important because, like, if you have to do a full bust adjustment, then you have to know how to do the FBA. I teach how you normally do your essentially your pivoting or your slashing and spreading, how you do the digital version of what you would be doing to that physical manipulation of that paper or that tissue pattern piece.
Right. Okay. That is so cool. And so when I saw your reel of your dress, I was like, she needs a so tight cutting system because we just come out with it. I think a couple months before I saw your video.
Yeah.
And because I thought you need like to hold down your fabric. So most
Yes.
people who are doing garment sewing with a cutting system are using it to hold the paper. So it's like matte fabric paper
Mhm.
booster. But I was thinking if you're doing something slippery, so before you were using the cutting system, how were you holding down your fabric when you're cutting? Like soup cans? That's what
So,
I get.
most of the time, because my cutting table is so big, I don't necessarily have to like worry about them slipping, or I would just use fabric weights.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I will say that I love the cutting system because, of course, one of the top questions I get is, well, how do you hold the fabric down? Right. Um, and utilizing the magnetic cutting system definitely makes it a lot easier, especially because, like, if I'm cutting something for my kids, or because I do also quilt, I also do make bags and stuff like that. So when I'm doing the smaller things, the cutting system comes in so clutch because I don't have to worry about anything moving. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and sometimes, as much as we would love for it to never happen, but a lot of times, like, our rotary cutters will need to be sharpened or they need a fresh blade. And so you think that it's done, right? And you go to move it, but now you maybe didn't like mark all of your notches. And now that pattern has shifted. At least with the magnetic cutting system, it like stays put because those
Yeah.
magnets are like good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I like it too. And I sew in I like on my kitchen table, so I'm always like picking up and putting away and you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But we are coming out with a bigger in your review, which I will link to below. Aronica talks about what she likes about the mat and how she uses it. And I loved your review, but you said the one con was that it's not big enough,
Literally.
which I
That
feel
is
you.
the only thing. So it's
Yeah.
funny because when I got the system, I had just had my double mastectomy, so I couldn't use the magnet because I had magnets in my chest.
Yeah.
But now that I don't have the magnets there, when I tell you that I love being able to use the magnetic like pin cushion because you
Mhm.
can put it to your shirt, you can put it on your sleeve, like you can literally put it anywhere. And for me, that is a game changer because, like, you see all of the slap wrist bracelets where
Yeah.
it had, but those magnets aren't strong. Like
Yeah.
one false move and all of your magnets are, I mean, all of your pins are all over the place. But like the one that you guys created, oh my goodness, it is so strong and it works so well. And I love that I can put it in multiple places, right? I think that
Mhm.
even that was like genius.
Well, I'm not the one who came up with the idea, but I will say thank you on behalf of the SewTites sisters who like develop all the products. But
Yeah.
yeah, I also love the pin holder because it also holds my snips. So I do a lot of hand sewing,
Yeah.
and it's strong enough to like hold my snips on there. Um, I was gonna tell you that we're coming out with a bigger mat size.
So
It's gonna
excited.
be 24 by 42. Um, that's kind of the yeah, that's the size we're making. And obviously we'll come out with more sizes and we're coming out with more rulers and all that as as the line
Yeah.
expands. But every time getting it into production is a whole thing. So we're hoping by the end of the summer we'll be talking about the bigger mat and then hopefully shipping by Christmas is like
Oh,
kind of
how
the
about that being the best Christmas present ever? Oh my goodness.
goal.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the goal with that. But we do every garment sewist I talk to is like, I can't fit a whole leg
Yeah.
on here. I need to fit like. So yeah, we're definitely working on that. Um have you used did I send you our other sew tights? And have you used them for like the kind of like instead of pins? I'm wondering if you do a lot of
No,
bag
you didn't
making.
send me that.
Okay, well, I gotta send you some because you
Oh my
mentioned bag
goodness.
making, and that's actually
Yeah.
why they were developed originally is to hold together like, when you're sewing with like leather or vinyl or cord,
Yeah.
you don't want to put a pin in it. Um,
Exactly.
so I gotta get you those. But I want to tell anybody who's watching live, you guys can leave a comment. And if you have any questions, if you have any questions about how Aronica uses a sewing system or just how she does a projector sewing, or you want to know more about anything we've talked about, you can leave a comment below and we will kind of answer your questions. But I wanted to thank you for sharing a little bit about what you're doing. Oh, could you tell us about Atlanta Frock Tales?
Oh my
I didn't
goodness.
warn you I was going to ask you about this, but
Also, big shout out to, of course, SewTites for being such an incredible sponsor because not only did you guys give a gift for them to win, someone won an entire system, right? But the goodie bags, also received one of each of the magnetic sewing like pin cushions. Obviously, they're not actually pin cushions, they're magnetic, but you guys know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that people were so excited about that. In fact, the winner of the system was like, "Oh, I'm not exactly sure what this is." And I sent her the link and I was like, "This is what you want." She was like, "Oh my goodness." She was so excited and so floored at what she won because this is such a great impact, right?
Mhm.
But Atlanta Fractals was just wow. And for those that don't know, Atlanta Fractals just happened last weekend. I want to say it was the same weekend as maybe Toronto was having one. No, the weekend after Toronto's. Um, and it was such a great time. Our theme was Secret Garden. And so, of course, listen, when I tell you guys that the Met may have taken my theme idea, but they called it something different. But I tell you what, like the people who were there could have gone to the Met Gala and fit right in because the people came out and showed up and showed out with their outfits. Now, of course, for Atlanta Fractales, it was also really important for me that we include like our craft sisters over who knit and crochet and do embroidery and stuff like that because to me, it's very important that we be more inclusive in the making community versus dividing it between, oh, you're a quilter, or oh, you knit, you crochet, you do garment, right? We're all makers. We're
Yeah.
all making beautiful things, right? And so I was just so excited because we got a chance to see people come out in um, things that they had knit, things that they had crocheted, things that they sewed, things that they did a combination of things. We had people who were within the Atlanta community, as well as people coming from Texas, LA. We had someone from Toronto. We had people from Florida. We had people from New York. So it was such a beautiful, beautiful event. But my favorite thing was, yes, I loved Fractales, but I really loved that we had a meet and greet that happened the night before, right? Because one of the things that not everybody gets is that normally makers are introverts. Why? Because we're in our houses by ourselves, making things, drinking hot tea or coffee, listening to an audiobook, and just enjoying ourselves, right?
Mhm.
We think we are excellent, like excellent company for ourselves. So a lot of times when it's time to get out and it's time to socialize and it's time to get to know people, we can be a little scared. So we had this very informal meet and greet, as well as fabric swap, as well as if you needed to put some like finishing touches on your Fractales outfit, you could come to Top Stitch Atlanta, which is actually where I teach sewing at, and you could just hang out. And it was such a casual type of environment that people were able to very slowly break out of their shells and meet like the people who were like their people, right? That were like you could network and go home and be like, oh, I met this person, I vibed with them, and now I can hit them up. Or even I met this person last night. So tomorrow night at Fractales, I know that I can like gravitate to them and it'll be okay. But the best part, of course, was when people left, people felt like they had met their people, right? They felt the love, they were able to party, they were able to chat. Like it was so beautiful, right? Because typically when you tell people that you sew, immediately it's, oh, I need some pants that need to be hemmed. And every maker is like, I don't even want to hem my
Already.
own pants. Like I don't want to hem yours for sure.
Right.
And I feel like oftentimes people don't understand the love, the impact, the energy, the time that goes into the things that we make. But when you're surrounded by people who get it, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's so different, right? Like you feel like you're at home. You don't feel like you're going to be judged by saying, "Oh, I don't have the fabric for," even though you may have all of the fabric, but they're going to get it when you say, "Oh, I don't have the fabric for this specific project." They're going to get it, right? Being surrounded by people who get you intimately is truly unmatched and is such a beautiful thing.
It is, and I love that you're providing that community for people and that connection. Because, like you said, it's hard to get out of your house and meet people, and then when you do meet people, they don't get it. So it's like it's so great. The event seemed so cool, and I'm about 2 or 4 hours away from Atlanta, and I was like, "Is there a way I can make it down?" But
Girl,
we
you
were
should have come, Tara. You would
Um,
have had so much fun.
yes, I've knit so many shawls. I would just be draped in shawls because that's what I've made. But yeah, we were actually at H&H Americas. I think it's
Yeah,
this
I saw
weekend.
that.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't think there's a way I can get there. But yeah, maybe next time because it sounds amazing and
Yeah,
it seems so cool. So thank you for sharing with us about
of
that. And
course.
thank you for being here and being live and sharing a little bit about your sewing and your sew tights. We really appreciate it. Um, and I will link to all of the stuff so you guys can get to know Aaronica better if you don't already. I do have to tell you, two different shows I was at, um, Garment Sewist came up and said to me, "Oh, I saw Aaronica has this." And I was
I
like,
love
they were like, "Do
that.
you know her?" I was like, "I feel like I do." But
I love that
yes,
so, so much. Like,
yeah.
anytime I do see, like, you guys are vending, I
Mhm,
definitely am like, "Hey, go stop by SewTites and tell them that Aronica said hi," because one, I really believe in this product that the sisters have created, right?
mhm,
Because when you think about it, we are a very DIY community, and yes, do I want to go could I create my own? Sure,
mhm.
right? But not everything has to be done by us, right?
Yeah.
And I love that there was a gap in the market that they saw and provided not just a terrible, right? Like a terrible, filler in there, but they provided something or they created something that was so good that I'm just like, please just make more, please make bigger so that I don't have to use anything else. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? I'm just like, I never want to not use it because it is such a high quality product that they
oh,
have created. So,
yeah.
like really just kudos to you guys because and I'm like, literally, please go and see because when you guys sent me the system, it was really just about, hey, just try it out, not, please do a review. It was
Right.
try it out. If you like it, talk about it. Also, here's an affiliate link for you to make a little bit of money off of it. But
Mhm,
when I tried it, I was like, this is hands down one of the best gifts that you can gift a sewist, right?
mhm,
Because it helps so much. Whether even if you don't use a projector, right? Like
mhm.
this
Yeah.
is so helpful, period. Like you get a more precise cut, knowing that even if your paper or your tissue is being put down with that magnet, you get a higher level of precision. So, really kudos to you guys for developing this.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and that was really the focus during the whole development process is to make it as high quality as possible. So, because not a lot of people can DIY, like get
Mhm.
metal cut and not cut their fingers off to, and then also to make it so high quality that it was worth the price that it will cost to
Right.
get it produced. And just like something really nice and useful, just like, and
Yes.
that was the focus the whole time with all the materials and all the choices and all the everything is like precision and just like there's a lot of ways to cut corners, and they did not want to cut any corners to just make it really great. So I appreciate you for noticing and for saying that. That means so much.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you for everybody who's here with us live. And if you're watching the recording later, you can leave a comment below, ask any questions. I will link to everything wherever you're watching this. It will be in the description below. Thank you again so much. And we'll be back next month with another spotlight conversation. We already have it scheduled, so that'll be in July. But thanks for being here with me.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Tara.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.